Well, top stories on the morning brief now. Nigeria's inflation figure, well, the latest one is out, particularly for June, and it's a new high as Nigeria's inflation hits 34.19%. That's according to the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics, that's the NBS. That's an increase of 0.24% points when compared to the inflation figure for May, that's this year as well. But food inflation continues its upward surge, growing up to 40.87, an increase from the 40.66% recorded in May. But for context, this time last year, food inflation was 25.5%. Well, now that the figures are out, but you, of course, are feeling that already. What is the government doing? Well, to curb the rising price of food, the federal government says it has distributed 20 trucks of rice each to the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, Abuja. But disclosing this after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, says this is the first step as government takes other steps to address the issue of food shortage in the country. He appeals to the governors to ensure that the effective distribution of the grains to the most vulnerable in the society is ensured.
Each of the state governors has received 20 trucks of rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable. This is a first step, and government will continue, the federal government will continue to support all the state governors, the local government, all the subnationals, so that the hardship being experienced by most Nigerians in terms of shortage of food supply is bridged. Government will continue to do whatever it takes to ensure that Nigerians have enough food to eat. Of course, you also know some of the interventions that the federal government has done in the agricultural sector, boosting our own capacity to produce food, not just for our domestic consumption, but also possibly for export. And government will continue to do that. We know that this will not solve the problem entirely, but this is a necessary first step that it has taken, and government will continue to do that. And you can see the speed with which the federal government has ensured that this is done. Now, what we want to say is the federal government also wants to appeal to the subnationals to ensure effective distribution of these food items so that those that are most vulnerable have access to this commodity.
Meanwhile, the president is set to meet with organized labor leaders in continuation of their discussion on the new minimum wage. Now, that's on another front. The minister again said that the issue of minimum wage was also discussed during the Federal Executive Council meeting to Minister of Information. He says the Minister of Budget and National Planning has been directed to come up with a proposal for an amendment act to the 2024 Appropriation Act to be sent to the National Assembly. Now, in spite of the rise in inflation figures, the Central Bank of Nigeria is giving fresh hope for the nation's economy, reassuring that Nigeria is emerging stronger from her economic doldrums. The Deputy Governor in charge of economic policy at the Apex Bank, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, stated this when he represented the CBN Governor during an emergency session of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance. Mr. Abdullahi explains that in spite of the ailing economy, the tough economic decisions taken over the last 12 months have started addressing the decades-long issue. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Mr. Atiku Bagudu, was also at that meeting, and he spoke as well.
We look forward to the NNPC providing clarity on the issue of refinery refurbishment and commissioning, and help us formulate actionable strategies as legislators for economic recovery and growth. This is the only time we can all come together as Nigerians to give His Excellency the President all the needed support in order to get us out of the doldrum we have been. And you can see the indicators are showing that the economy is doing well.
A number of interventions have been approved by Mr. President. The very well-known ones were the energy transition in order to deepen CNG penetration. The negotiations with the Nigerian Labour Congress has been ongoing to ensure that there is no further disruption in the economy, and one has to thank again the leadership of the National Assembly.
We are confident at the Central Bank of Nigeria that those challenging times, we've gone through the worst of them, and we are, as a country, emerging stronger. We are quite certain, Mr. Chair, that the tough decisions that have been taken over the last 10 to 12 months are addressing some of these challenges that have been there with us for decades.
But that's not all from that meeting. Also there, you've seen the Group CEO of NNPC Limited, Mr. Melekeri, who explained that the Port Harcourt Refinery will kick off production this time by early August, while that of Kaduna will commence production by December.
We're very optimistic that by December this country will be net exporter. That means combination of production coming from us and also from the Dangote Refinery and other smaller producing companies that we know are in line to do this. Latest by early August, the Port Harcourt Refinery old will start producing product, and of course the new one will get to December, and Bori will also be in production. You know, I'm very optimistic. I don't have any confirmation this moment, so that nobody cuts me and say, "Oh, say this." We keep lying. So we're not lying to you, Mr. President. It's a technical process. With your best of intention, you can put dates on refinery startup, but it is when you get to startup that you see the real challenges, even for a new refinery.
We have a clear plan to see how we can get, 2 million barrels and more. And I believe that we need the support of all members of the National Assembly. We need the support of all Nigerians, to be able to achieve that one.
Well, away from the economy for a moment, Senator Ainaya Baribe is of the opinion that the Tinubu administration has not been fair to the Southeast in his appointments, giving credence to the agitations in the region. His statement comes on the heels of that of Imo State Governor, who says the Southeast will not join the planned protest against the president because the region is satisfied with his leadership. Senator Baribe appeals to the federal government to take a cue from Kenya and reverse the direction of the country. We're speaking with our political correspondent, Terry Kumi.
Out of 50 ministries, the Southeast has only 5, 1 per state. Yet, the Southwest has about 10, the other ones have about 9, and so forth. And so, the question has always been, this ethnicization of different things, does it augur well for the country? From President Buhari, what we have seen has been an ethnicization of the powers of the federal government. And of course, Buhari took it one step further. And what we have seen with the Tinubu government is also another step further. It's not good for the unity of the country. If you now say that whenever anybody that comes from any state, any place comes into office, the first thing he will do is to appropriate everything to his area. So what are you telling the rest of the people? I'm also using this opportunity to plead with the federal government. We need to reverse the way we are going. We just seem to act as if there is no problem.
Well, for the full interview, do watch Political Paradigm today at 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. In other news now, we're beginning to see different reactions from governors following last week's Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. Now, for the governor of Taraba State, Agbo Kefas, it says he's in full support of the Supreme Court judgment for local government autonomy as it aligns perfectly with his administration's commitment to decentralize and empower locally. At an event to inaugurate the state's Local Government Areas Autonomy Advisory Committee, the governor says the local government autonomy will assist in upholding the principles of democracy and justice. But in Southwest Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde says his government will not allow the people of the state to suffer from the fallout of the verdict. The governor set up 2 committees saddled with the responsibilities of reviewing the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy and coming up with recommendations that will ensure that the change does not affect the people of the state negatively. He maintains that the judgment has created a constitutional lacuna that will throw up different challenges at the local government level, saying that though he's not opposed to transparency in the councils, the Supreme Court judgment is not a silver bullet that will wash away Nigeria's problems. And to northwest Kano State, where the High Court has issued a perpetual restraining order against the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Adebayo, and 4 other emirs from Rano, Gaya, Bichi, and Kare, preventing them from parading themselves as emirs. Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu, delivering the judgment, affirmed the legislative powers of the Kano State House of Assembly and the authority of the state governor to assent to bills passed by the Assembly. Justice Adamu Aliyu criticized the conduct of the police and other security agencies and ordered the emirs to surrender all the properties belonging to the Kano State Emirate Council to the state government. And the National and State Houses of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal for Sokoto and Zamfara State has sacked a member of the National Assembly representing Yabo and Shagiri Federal Constituency, Umar Yusuf Yabo, popularly called Dammaji. The tribunal, in a unanimous ruling, further ordered the sacked lawmaker to pay 500,000 naira as damages to the petitioner as a cost award. The judgment by a 3-member panel, read by the tribunal chairman, Justice Ashu Ewa, declared that the election, which was conducted by INEC in 2023 and rerun in 2024, were marred with malpractices and ordered INEC to organize and conduct another rerun election within 90 days from today. And to some business, the federal government says it has reached an agreement with the United Arab Emirates to allow Nigerian passport holders obtain visas for travel to the Arab nation starting, in fact, yesterday, July the 15th. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this when he briefed State House correspondents following the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. The minister adds that Nigerians wishing to learn more about the updated visa conditions from the UAE can visit the country's website. And now to American politics. Donald Trump has chosen U.S. Senator representing Ohio, J.D. Vance, to be his vice presidential running mate, as the Republican Party officially nominated the former president to run again for the White House at the start of the party's national convention in Milwaukee. The 4-day convention opened in downtown Milwaukee's Fiserv Forum, 2 days after Trump narrowly survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, and just hours after he secured a major legal victory when a federal judge dismissed one of his criminal prosecutions. And to sports news, the Super Falcons pre-Olympics friendly against Canada will be played behind closed door, and that's according to the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, in an announcement on its official X handle. The international friendly will be played in Sevilla, Spain on Wednesday. The 2 teams played out a 0-0 draw in their meeting last time at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. The Super Falcons will fly to Paris for the Olympics on Thursday as Randy Waldrum's side prepare to face current world champion Spain, Brazil, and Japan in Group C. Wishing the Super Falcons the very best as always.